Why are Libras the kindest people, but also the most dangerous when provoked? There's one person in the world you'll never truly want to provoke. Not because they yell, not because they make a scene, but when they finally stand up for themselves, for real, without turning back, you realize they knew everything from the start. This is Libra. There's something people often say about Libras as if it were a simple compliment, that they are the kindest, the most patient, the ones who never lose their temper, never raise their voice, never make a scene. And that observation is correct, until the moment it isn't, because Libra's kindness isn't what it seems. It's not the gentleness of someone who doesn't feel, it's not the patience of someone who doesn't perceive, and it's definitely not the peace of someone who has nothing to fight for. Libra's gentleness is a choice, an active, calculated choice, renewed every day. And like any choice that requires real effort, it has a cost, and that cost has a limit. The problem is that this boundary is invisible, completely invisible to everyone, except for Libra. When you're in a conversation with a Libra and something happens that shouldn't, you probably won't notice anything different about them. You'll continue the conversation, you'll laugh at the jokes, you'll leave thinking it was a great afternoon. But Libra registered it. Every detail, the tone that didn't match the words, the gesture that contradicted the intention, the omission that said more than anything said aloud. Libra has what we might call a precise memory, not necessarily of resentment, but of data. Information about how the people around them really function when they think no one is paying close attention. And the great irony is that Libra always is. That's why when you meet a Libra, you feel completely seen. They ask the right questions. They listen with a quality of attention that is rarely found. They respond in a way that proves they understood what you really meant, not just the words. This presence is no accident. It's the same ability that makes Libra the sharpest observer in the room, and a keen observer never misses anything. What most people don't understand is that the harmony Libra seeks isn't naivete. It's not an illusion. It's a conscious commitment to something they genuinely believe in, that people have deeper layers than their worst moments, that it's worth giving them time, it's worth giving them space, it's worth absorbing imperfection, because the whole human being is worth more than the single wrong action they just took. So Libra absorbs and remains present and smiles and resolves the tension in the room without anyone asking. But the file is growing. This is the detail that people miss when they try to read Libra from the outside. They see the calmness and conclude a lack of depth. They see the continuous gentleness and conclude that there is no internal structure, no real limits, nothing that can be tested without cost. But Libra's gentleness doesn't exist despite perception. It exists because of it. Because Libra sees the true weight of everything, and that's exactly what makes them act with such care. Silently, with an organization that would frighten anyone if seen from the outside, Libra is building a complete map of everything happening around them. Not as a revenge plan. That's not it. It's more like what happens when you finally understand how someone truly works. When all the pieces fit together and you perceive the entire pattern, not just the isolated moment. And then, a point arrives, a point that has no announcement, no warning, none of the kind of signs people would expect from someone reaching their breaking point. To those on the outside, it seems like everything is still fine. Libra is still present, still kind, still resolves things, but inside something changed. And when that change becomes action, that's the question that lingers. What happens when Libra finally acts? What is this moment that no one can predict? And why is it so different from everything people expected? It was while searching for answers to this that I found this digital book, The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose. It's not a list of predictions or a compatibility guide. It's a reading about the profound nature of Libra, about what lies behind this duality that baffles so many people. Why is the same person who calmly resolves everything also the one who, when they decide, doesn't give in? The book treats this not as a contradiction to be corrected, but as an intelligence to be recognized and navigated. An intelligence that Libra carries, and which, when understood from within, changes the way you relate to others and to yourself. You are here now, at this point in the video, because you recognize something, perhaps in yourself, perhaps in someone very close to you, and this recognition doesn't go away on its own. It remains active, asking questions. This is exactly the kind of moment when it's worth acting, not waiting. The link is in the first pinned comment. But be aware, this content may be taken down. Click now and download your copy. Tell me in the comments, have you ever realized looking back that a Libra had already decided something about you long before you even imagined it? What was the moment you understood that? Because understanding how Libra acts doesn't begin at the moment of action. It begins much earlier. It begins in the inner workings of a patience that most people have never stopped to truly examine. There is a fundamental difference between resignation and patience. Resignation is when you don't react because you lack the strength to do so. Libra's patience is when you don't react because you've calculated that it's not the right time yet. It's an active, not passive stance, like an archer who keeps the bow drawn not because of an inability to release the arrow, but because they know the target isn't exactly where it needs to be. This distinction matters more than it seems, because when you interpret Libra's patience as resignation, as weakness, as a lack of assertiveness, you make the mistake most people make. You think you can push a little further, that the space Libra is giving is because it doesn't matter that much, that silence is empty. Libra's silence is never empty. Within this silence, there is constant activity, a kind of internal triangulation, observing what happened, measuring what it means, calculating what would be the honest response without being destructive. It's an equation that Libra solves almost automatically, like a musician who doesn't think about each note individually, but whose fingers know exactly where to go. The mind already does this. It's the natural functioning of someone who observes before speaking, always. And this musician, while playing, is listening to everything that's happening in the room. You're hearing the tone that has changed, the frequency that no longer matches, the moment when the harmony that should exist begins to have a dissonance that grows slowly, so slowly that those on the outside think it's just a bad day, a phase, something that will pass. But Libra is listening to this dissonance build up, and it listens with a precision that no one on the outside notices. The paradox of Libra is that this same capacity for perception that makes them so present and connected is also what makes them aware when something is systematically wrong. You can't have a highly sensitive radar that only picks up the good and ignores the rest. It's the same radar, and it picks up everything. What changes is what Libra chooses to do with what it has captured. For a long time, the choice is to hold back, to give it more time, to believe that the pattern will change, that the person will realize it on their own, that there's no need for a confrontation because things will work themselves out. And sometimes they do, and Libra knows that's possible, so they keep betting. But there comes a point where the bet no longer makes sense. It's not an emotional conclusion, it's almost logical. It's when the accumulated data in the file all point in the same direction, when the pattern repeats itself in a way that can no longer be read as an accident or an isolated phase. When Libra finishes calculating and the result is too clear to be ignored, the cup overflowed, not because of the last drop, because of all the drops that came before, which no one kept count. And this moment has no external signal whatsoever. To those on the outside, everything still seems the same. Libra is still there, still responds, still smiles when the situation calls for it. But something fundamental has changed inside. A decision has been made silently, without ceremony, without announcement. Patience has reached its natural limit, and what lies on the other side of that limit is something entirely different. Libra age. And Libra's reaction, when it finally arrives, doesn't resemble anything the person expected. It's not an explosion of anger. It's not uncontrolled crying. It's not a dramatic scene that would at least provide a clear script on how to respond. It's something quieter and more definitive, a change of posture, a repositioning, a withdrawal of energy that was once abundant and is now simply no longer available. The scales stop tipping, not out of anger, but as a final calculation. This is the part that confuses people. They expect Libra's limit to appear like an explosion, like something that warns them they've gone too far. They expect drama. They expect a clear sign that the rope is reaching its end. But Libra doesn't give that sign. Not because it's cold or calculating in the negative sense of the word, but because it has already given signs for a long time, in different ways. And these signs were treated as if they weren't signs at all. So when Libra decides, the decision is already made. It's not a reaction, it's a conclusion. And that's what makes the moment so disconcerting for the person on the other side. You're interacting with someone who seems calm, who responds normally, who isn't yelling or crying. And suddenly you realize, not immediately but over time, that something has changed. That energy, that presence, that availability that you had taken for granted is no longer there in the same way. That was it. That was the moment the scale tipped to the bottom on one side. And Libra knows exactly when it was. You probably don't. This moment, the instant when Libra decides, without warning, with a clarity that doesn't come from nowhere but from an invisible accumulation, is difficult to navigate, both for those who are Librans and for those who live with someone of this sign. The digital book, the divine path that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose, goes straight to this point. What happens inside Libra when the decision is made, how to recognize this process before it reaches its extreme, and what it means to act from clarity and not from exhaustion. For Libra, it's the difference between taking a conscious stance or reaching a worn-out limit. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. There's a common misconception about what it means to be dangerous when talking about Libra. People imagine that the dangerous side is a shadow, a hidden face that emerges when pressed, that contradicts the gentleness, that is basically the same person turned inside out. But that's not how it works. What makes Libra precise when it decides to act is exactly what makes it so present when it's caring. It's the same emotional intelligence, the same ability to read situations and people, the same precision that allows it to see what the people around them need, what motivates them, what moves them. Only now this ability is directed towards another purpose, not to create harmony, to restore what has been lost. And Libra has a deep sense of justice, very deep. Think of surgery. The scalpel doesn't tear. It cuts with a precision that is the result of years of studying anatomy, of knowing exactly where everything is, what is vital and what can be removed, where an incision solves problems and where it unnecessarily destroys. Libra, when it acts, operates with that kind of precision. You know what to say, you know what to remove, you know where everything is because you've spent enough time observing, not because he's cruel, but because he studied the situation for much longer than anyone would imagine. And what's frightening at this moment isn't malice, it's precision. It's the unsettling feeling of realizing that the person you thought you knew had a complete map of the situation while you were only operating on the surface. That while you thought you were going unnoticed, Libra had already mapped everything, understood everything, and stored everything. This is the most unsettling revelation. You were never interacting with someone who didn't notice. You were interacting with someone who noticed everything and consciously chose not to use it, up until the moment you chose to use it. Libra's response, when it comes, isn't a reaction, it's a well-founded conclusion. And that's what differentiates it from an emotional outburst. Outbursts pass, conclusions remain. There's something about Libra's precision that goes far beyond strategy. It's emotional intelligence working at full capacity, the same intelligence that creates deep connections, sees the best in people when no one else can, and resolves conflicts without raising one's voice. When this ability turns to positioning, it doesn't lose its sophistication, it simply changes purpose. The digital book, the divine path that guides your zodiac sign to a life of purpose, works precisely with this dual-direction nature. How Libra can recognize this power and use it intentionally, not just when it reaches its limit. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. After the action takes place, after Libra takes a stand, withdraws its energy, and establishes what was previously being ignored, something happens that people rarely anticipate. Libra returns to balance, not to the same balance as before. Never exactly the same, but to a balance, because balance is not a destination that Libra seeks externally. It's an internal need that never stops. It's the natural state to which this sign will always gravitate, regardless of what happens along the way. The storm passes, and what remains is a different clarity, a different presence, like a surface that has been through fire. It wasn't destroyed, but it was transformed, with a resistance that wasn't so visible before because it hadn't been tested. And Libra carries that memory, not as resentment most of the time, but as information, precise data about what this relationship, this situation, this space truly entails, about where the real limit lies, about what can be freely given and what needs to be kept. The balance that exists after a difficult decision is more solid than any harmony built on what could not be sustained, because it is honest. Because it doesn't require Libra to continue absorbing what shouldn't be absorbed. Because the scales have finally stopped pretending that the weights are equal, and now they measure what truly exists, not what everyone would like to exist. In this new configuration, Libra can be kind again, genuinely, without the cost of holding back what was about to overflow, without the weight of a file that keeps growing unprocessed. Kindness returns, but now it's different, more selective, more conscious of where it goes and to whom it goes, because the file has been resolved. And Libra now knows where the boundary is, with a certainty that didn't exist before. And it is here at this point that the deepest nature of Libra is fully revealed. Think of the sun, not the sun as a symbol of warmth and joy, but the sun as it truly is, a star that warms everything within a certain distance, that allows life. That is the source of almost all the energy that exists on this planet, and it burns anything that gets too close, not out of malice, not by choice, by nature. That's how Libra is. The capacity to warm, to be present, to care, to see the other with a depth that few people can achieve, and the capacity to be precise when boundaries are crossed without respect, are not opposites. They are the same nature in different states, the same source, the same intensity, expressed in distinct registers. Libra's gift is not gentleness. It is not precision. It is the ability to contain both and to navigate between them with a consciousness that, when fully developed, is one of the most sophisticated intelligences that exist. Because kindness without structure is naivete, and precision without kindness is cruelty. Libra embodies both, together, simultaneously, informing one another. And this balance between what it perceives and what it chooses to do with it, is what defines this sign in a way that goes far beyond any superficial reading. But this navigation requires self-knowledge. It requires understanding where each impulse comes from, when patience still makes sense and when it has gone too far. When the response that comes is fair and when it carries the weight of everything that has accumulated for too long. This discernment, this ability to know where you are at each moment, is what transforms the gift into wisdom. This discernment, where the impulse comes from, when to act, when to hold back, is exactly what the digital book, The Divine Path That Guides Your Zodiac Sign to a Life of Purpose, was written to explore in depth. Not to confirm what you already know about Libra, but to illuminate what Libra operates without consciously realizing it, so that the intelligence that exists there is used with clarity, not just when the limit is reached. So that kindness is a real choice, not an obligation. And so that precision, when it appears, comes from a place of integrity, not accumulation. The link is in the first pinned comment. The last copies are running out. Click now and begin your journey towards the clarity and genius you deserve. So, what do you take away from all of this? If you are a Libra, perhaps the invitation is to recognize that this duality is not a character flaw. It's not inconsistency. It's you being whole, with all the complexity and richness that entails. The kindness you offer is real. It has a price that deserves to be acknowledged, and the stance that emerges when that price is exceeded is also real, a legitimate part of who you are, not the dark side of Libra, the complete side. If you live with someone born under the sign of Libra, the invitation is different. It's not about fearing Libra's capacity for action when provoked. It's about understanding what creates that provocation, what fills the archive, what tips the scales. Because that, unlike the action itself, is within reach of being changed. Libra isn't complicated. It's perception, it's observation, it's an intelligence that operates in layers that most conversations never reach. And when you understand this, really understand it, not out of curiosity but out of recognition, something changes. You stop seeing Libra's kindness as weakness and begin to see it for what it is, a choice made every day by someone who believes that balance is possible. Libra doesn't want to be dangerous. It never has. She just wants the balance to be real, for the considerations to be honest, for the care she gives to be recognized as a choice, not as a guarantee. And perhaps that's the most beautiful thing about Libra's nature, that even after the file is full, the decision is made, the action is executed, what Libra seeks is still the same. There is no revenge, no power, balance, an honest balance. One that doesn't require Libra to disappear in order to exist. One that happens because both sides are real and recognized as real. That is the nature of Libra. It is not a paradox to be solved. It is a depth to be honored.